Arsenal with an extra man need this. Ozil clips it in. Well back! There's a fairy tale! Danny Welbeck back and scoring the most melodramatic.
Hello and welcome to CannonBall, the newly rebranded show formerly known as Joy Eats Football. This particular decision was taken because we moved towards focusing on Arsenal and we thought the name of the show should reflect that as well. So, welcome to CannonBall, where we talk about all things football when it comes to Arsenal. And we're here in the presence of my friend Prateek.
Hello guys, and I will just like to tell you that there might be some interrupting noises due to unforeseen circumstances.
Okay, so we'll keep that in mind, and you can find him on Twitter at BVB_Pats. And also, if you're looking to have some of the most rational discussion about football on Twitter, then you should definitely not follow me at 1886 Cannonball. Alright, so before starting this episode, I would like to tell all of us about what this podcasting thing is. And before I begin, let me start where this is coming from. So we were talking with some of our friends who were providing us some feedbacks about the show. And during those conversations, we understood that podcasting is a fairly new concept here in India. So we felt that we should elaborate a bit on what podcasts are. So let's start with what most were asking, and mostly they were asking, is this like the content you see on YouTube, like something that needs you to be engaged every single second of it? And the simple answer is no. Consider this as a background activity or call it a conversation. Simply, it serves as a secondary activity. We can say it's an on-demand radio show where two guys discuss stuff related to Arsenal and where we share a conversation. And as we gain viewers, we'll engage with them in a Q&A in relations with Arsenal. So in general, listening to podcast is a secondary activity that requires minimal engagement while you focus on your primary activity. I hope that makes sense. Now, let's explain the whens and wheres of podcast listening. So first off, it's on demand. So whenever you feel like it, you can listen to it. We are available on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, and all your favorite podcast apps. And now the other part of the wheres. So I like the 2/3 of the podcast listeners listen to it while driving, be it in a car or bike or even in public transportation like bus, trains, plane. Other than that, I, like the most of people, listen to it at home while cleaning or cooking. Even while taking a shower, I put my podcast on speaker. Even before going to sleep, I use the Pocket Cast app, which, like most podcast apps, have a sleep timer in it. Alright, I feel like I defined it pretty well, so let's get back to Arsenal. So we played BATE Borisov in the reverse leg of EuRoPa League in last 32 and we won 3-0. And on aggregate, it was 3-1 for the Arsenal. Hooray, woohoo! I mean, they were so bad. I don't know how we managed to lose against them in the first leg. And to be honest, it felt like we were playing a pre-season friendly in middle of a season. What did you make out of it?
Yeah, I mean, the second leg, though not convincingly, we won comfortably.
Yeah.
But even after that, I was like, why in the first place we lose the first leg? That is the question. I mean, we should have easily won like 6-0, 7-0.
Yeah.
And like it was, even if they won 3-0, it was not a satisfactory performance. Yeah, 2 goals from the centre backs, and fortunately we got the trigger due to the own goal.
Yep.
So basically, BATE resisted well.
It was a very lopsided match, and I'm just glad that I don't have to mention their name again anymore. I don't remember anything interesting from that game, to be honest. And we are through to the last 16 of the competition, and so are Chelsea, Napoli, and Inter, the other favorites to win the EuRoPa League, the most elite competition in the world. Don't at me for that. And I mean, look,
No, it is elite. Now, after all, the winners will qualify for the Champions League. Yes.
Yeah, if we win, it will be the most elite competition. But if we don't, yeah, it's just Farmers League. So I mean, let's just look at the favorites and how shit this competition is. In all fairness, I mean, no offense to the Eastern European teams that play in it, but playing against them is like lower tier football, and it's either them or big European name which have fallen off the grace in recent season. Examples are right in front of you: Arsenal, Chelsea, Napoli, Inter.
Yes, like I do agree. I mean, yes, Arsenal, yeah, I will not say totally down, but they are off the pace
Yeah,
recently since the last couple of seasons.
definitely.
I mean, they are better than Manchester United, I will say, when Alex Ferguson left. Yes.
Good point. Different scenarios, different mentality at the board, I would say that was the reason. And from falling off the grace, let's take a moment and laugh at Chelsea. Haha, how embarrassing it was for them to let that happen. And I mean, it was pretty fucking funny to watch as an Arsenal fan. And would you mind telling everyone what happened in yesterday's League Cup final between Chelsea and Manchester City?
Well, first of all, as all our listeners are must have watched the football matches, but despite that, I will tell you that Chelsea played comparatively better than they played at the Etihad, where they were humiliated.
Mm.
And yes, they were humiliated, and the match was not totally boring, but yeah, it went to penalty, 120 minutes, nil-nil, goalless draw.
Mm.
But the thing is, after that, the funny thing happened. And from Chelsea's point of view, it is a bad thing. Sarri thought of introducing Willy Caballero because we all know he's a penalty specialist.
Mm.
Like last season, he helped Manchester City win the Carabao Cup.
Against us?
Yes, against us, Arsenal.
Yeah.
But Kepa Arrizabalaga, he refused. Yes, I mean it was Arsenal fans will see as a funny situation, but from Chelsea point of view, it's a bad thing.
Mm.
I mean, Sarri has a genuine reason to introduce Willy Caballero, not just because it's a penalty specialist like the most of the neutral fans would think that why he was not introduced, he's a penalty specialist and all, but like he fell twice during the extra time.
Yeah, good point.
Yes. And he was being assessed also by the medical team, if I remember it correct. But Sarri basically thought good for him. For example, like in the league, Chelsea do need him in the league. So I mean, it was not like we discussed before our recording. Only one player came to see the situation, and that was like David Luiz. So I believe that other teammates should have gotten involved to get hold of the situation.
Definitely. And I'm speaking from a technical standpoint. Kepa was officially right to do that. Matlab, in the rule book, it says in a substitution scenario, the final say is in the hands of a player. So technically, Kepa had the right to do that. But like I agree with you and even John Terry's statement that you don't air your dirty laundry in front of everyone. And that was in fact a extremely disrespectful gesture towards your own manager. Plus, for the argument of that, there were some statements that Sarri came out after the match that it was miscommunication or misjudgment.
And Kepa tweeted and all.
Yes, but then, I mean, I feel that it's just been thrown out there to save face for Chelsea, and I'll say Caballero should still have come on for two reasons. As you said, he has an exceptionally good record of saving penalties. I mean, I remember the penalty shootout between City and Liverpool a couple of seasons back, and only Emre Can was able to score past him. So that was one reason, and another was he is a former City player. He was there until a season or 2 seasons back, so he would definitely know the penalty pattern of City, and that would have definitely played a part in City players second guessing their shots.
Yes, I mean it's not Sarri's fault at all.
Yeah, that is true, and I feel like we have been derailed here. So let's get back to Arsenal and hope Chelsea keep entertaining us like that. All right, so let's talk about the Southampton game, which took place at the Emirates this Sunday, and we won 2-0. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, the match we were good. Like comparatively in the last few matches, Arsenal were impressive. Yeah, Lacazette was impressive, and Mkhitaryan was bang on.
Definitely.
I mean, for that match, he was good, very much good. Like
even
impressed.
Defensively, he was good.
Yes, he was good. Like I don't know, maybe he was inconsistent earlier due to some setbacks in terms of minor injuries. I guess next season he might be an important wheel.
And he looks like the type of player that you would find in an Emery team. Not just that, I would say we are playing good, and to be honest, I will say this was one of the most enjoyable first half this season, and the scoreline doesn't reflect how dominant we were in the first half. And credit to Leno here as well. He made some crucial saves in the entirety of the game, but especially the first save he made, and just after that we scored almost instantly. I mean, that was crucial.
Yes, and Kolasinac was excellent too.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of undervalued players, what did you make of Xhaka's performance?
Well, in the BATE Borisov match, he was impressive. As he had hand in 2 goals. Like he controlled the tempo of the match, I guess.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And I read this article that I found on Twitter, which I cannot remember at the moment who wrote it, but it was on Xhaka, and it was elaborating how important he is to us and for the rhythm of our passing. Like you said, I felt that's true to a greater extent, because when he was out with an injury, when we played against Huddersfield Town and Cardiff, even against them, we looked off the paces.
Yes, I mean, initially, like, he struggled when he first came here, like, in terms of tackles and those all, but I guess he adopted well. So it has been, his defensive work has also been improved.
I was talking about that article, and it said one thing which stuck with me, and it was on how we focus on what Xhaka doesn't bring to our game and not what he does bring. And I don't blame the fans for that, because I remember when we first signed him, he was eloquently elaborated by the club as a defensive mid. And under Arsene Wenger, he was even, sort of doing that job, but he was having a terrible time adjusting to the role. And look at him this season. When the burden is lifted off him, he looks like an improved player.
I guess Torreira's arrival helped him.
Definitely, I couldn't agree more. And speaking of improved players, did you see Lichtsteiner making a single mistake in the past 2 games?
No, I guess not.
Yeah, I mean, he was finding it hard to adjust in the Premier League at first, but he looks like he has found a little bit of form back. I mean, I fully expect him to go nuts in the next match and maybe double foot tackle a player, but this past week he did good.
Yes, he was good. I mean, he's an experienced player, so that will that will be shown up in some of the matches.
And speaking of right back, Mustafi played a good part of a game at right back. What did you make of that?
Your favorite player.
Yeah, so what did you make of that?
Yes, I mean, like, he had played at that position several times ago, earlier also, like being at Arsenal or in Germany. Yeah, he was good at that. I mean, I guess he is comparatively good at right back whenever he has been played into.
That's a good point. I was going to talk about that also, because I remember correctly, it was Clive, who's on Twitter at CliveAPFC, who pointed out this particular fact in an Arscast episode, that how Mustafi was a holding midfielder and a fullback for his youth and senior teams too in different countries, like you pointed out, and how he goes down for tackles like fullbacks. And I would like to see him at right back for some matches, because it would mean that he wouldn't be the player in our last line of defense, and that's a blessing for me. So
yes, at least for this season he should be deployed at right back sometime, because next season, obviously, I mean, that place is reserved for Bellerin only.
I personally feel Mustafi's time at the club is done. Mostly he would be sold next summer, and I guess we have beaten our lovely German rapper to dust. Now let's move forward and preview this week's game. And first up is Bournemouth at home on Wednesday night. And how do you see Emery approaching this game? Because we are now in 4th place, 1 point above United and 2 points above Chelsea.
Well, I guess he will use the same approach like he favored against Southampton. And as Bournemouth are not in the best form recently, I will say. I mean, not like their form is above average. So I guess they should go for at least. I will be happy if they score 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah,
Lacazette is in form.
Yeah, definitely.
I hoping Mkhitaryan will play again in the starting 11.
Yeah, I could say that works for me as well. And I feel like if we, push them out wide, we would have a better chance defending against them. And let's move forward and look at the game at the weekend, which is a North London derby against those whose name we don't speak of here. Just kidding. We are obviously talking about the team that have a cock balancing on a ball as their logo. Yep, We are talking about those homeless rent boys, Spuds, and I'm not taking the piss here. I'm just stating the fact. They don't have a home yet.
I guess we will not be surprised
Yeah.
if someone comments on our YouTube channel. The guy would be a Spurs fan. He would be shitload. He would be raining shitload on us.
Yeah, so back to the biggest derby between two London teams. We have a chance to close the gap to 1 point by the end of the week, because Spurs are currently 7 points above us, and their next two matches are against us and Chelsea. They play Chelsea in the midweek and us on the weekend. So there is a possibility that it could be down to 1 point by the end of the week, but I don't see that happening, to be honest, because Chelsea, they are in turmoil. And I can't see them beating Spurs, but still, a man can dream. So, where do you see us in the points table after this weekend?
I guess I am confident that we will win against Bournemouth. And those Spurs match is in Wembley, right? So I am hoping that at least we I hope we win at Wembley, to be honest. But let's hope that we don't get less than a point.
Yeah. That would be right. And it's a derby. Anything can happen. In derbies, form goes out of the...
Yes. And I guess there is a chance also that we will definitely be closing the gap, I guess, after the weekend, I hope. Not to 1 point, I guess, maybe by 3 points, maybe, because it is that time of the season when usually
Spurs gets up.
Yeah, they're definitely out of the title race.
Yeah, that is true. But that's a topic for another day. Let's talk about the match. So I feel that against them Rent boys, a draw would be a good result, because we are playing away from home and we have been shit away from home. And as well as that, I do resonate with Arsene Wenger's statement here that yes, this is the golden generation of Spurs. It's been a underachieving one, but nonetheless, this is their best squad in the last 4 decades. While we are going through transition, which couldn't stop them from losing to us by 4-0 in the league. Back to the question now. So we're going through transition, and they have their best squad, which could hurt any team at the moment. So considering that it's an away game and a derby, I would say if you give me a draw right now, I would definitely take it.
Yes, it is an underachieving squad. Leicester City won the league with a squad.
Don't remind me that thing, man.
But yeah, I am just saying that Spurs squad was better than Leicester that season. That is, I don't know why they can't win. Because maybe though they don't have that mentality.
Yeah.
Yes, they lack mentality.
That could be the reason, man. All right. On that remark, let's end the show. It's been a pleasure hosting today's show with Prateek.
Yes, it was enjoyable. Chelsea's banter was the best part.
Yep. And you can find him on Twitter at BVB_Pats. That's BVB_PATZZ. And if you're looking for some dad jokes or maybe contemplate Arsenal golden days, you can find me on Twitter at 1886 CannonBall. Now, some information regarding our show. So up until now, we were only available on SoundCloud and YouTube. And now we are also available on Apple's podcast app, Spotify, Google Podcast, and all your favorite podcast app directories. To subscribe to our podcast there, simply go to the search bar in the app and search CannonBall and click the plus or the subscribe button, and it will add our podcast to your library. Or you can check the info description box wherever you're listening, and you'll find the link to our website and also the URL of both Apple Podcast and Spotify's link. You can subscribe to us from there as well.
And we have just started it, as the listeners know it, so suggestions are welcome.
And I would also like to add that we extremely appreciate everyone who's listening to our podcast. I can't explain what it means to us. Thank you so much. All right, that's it for today's show. Bye bye till next Tuesday, and up the Arsenal.